And are we live? We are live.
I think, I think we are live, and now we are streaming to the communities.
All right, awesome. So, welcome to Real Talk, a podcast about honest conversations, personal growth, and the power to share your story. I'm your host, Andres, a creative strategist who believes your perspective can change the game.
And I'm Heather. I'm going to guide you guys through all of your tech support needs and bring you honest conversations and real answers.
That's it. Every week, we want to dive into meaningful stories from people just like you because your voice has an impact and your journey matters.
And speaking of journey, impact, and voices, it is the day before Halloween. So while everybody's ready to get all hyped up on sugar, let's kind of take that from a real estate stance and talk about maybe some scary stories, some safety precautions agents should take, and everything that falls in between.
Absolutely, man. And I'll tell you what, I miss trick or treating with my kids. Those little days. 'Cause man, I'm a kid myself. I put my costumes and I go right along with them. But bringing that over to real estate, so far in my experience, I haven't come across any interesting activities or things happening in the properties. So I'm curious if you have personally come across anything like that, because I also want to look into searching online, looking at different stories. Before we dive into that, if you come across any particular events, properties that you were, yeah, I gotta step away from this one.
So I have actually funny funny that today happens to be the topic with Halloween and everything because it's been a couple of years, but Tony and I ended up calling this house Murder House because I was doing an open house for a friend who's an agent. I was covering an open house for her. Um, and like she really didn't give me any kind of backstory about the house or anything. She was just like, "Hey, I have this listing. I can't do the open house this weekend. Can you handle the open house for me?" And I'm like, "Sure, no problem. I can handle the open house." So typically, I've said this many times, I don't like to work open houses alone. I was supposed to have a lender there with me, and then last minute the lender canceled and wasn't able to come to the open house. So I was there by myself. Tony did end up showing up halfway through the open house because I called him and I'm like, "Hey, I'm by myself and I feel creeped out." So he ended up coming. He was doing showings, so it took him about an hour to get there. But so on the surface, this house looked like a normal house. It was like a ranch. It was in a position where it could have been residential or it could have been commercial, depending on like how you wanted to use it, where the property was laid out. However, when you investigated further into this property, there was a back door that you would go out and you would kind of like turn a corner, and it was a shed that was like tacked onto the house. It was like built onto the house. And when you open the door, it was like something out of Dexter. There were different rooms inside this like shack looking thing, but there was like a table laid out. There was like the plasticky cloth draped over the table. There was like a huge, it's not a ring light. It's like a huge light. I don't know if it's like a medical light or what, but it's not quite a ring light, but it was like a huge light. And it really just gave me creepy vibes. And the thing that made it even creepier was that it locked from the outside. And there were several like little rooms inside that also locked from the outside, like with a padlock or with like a bolt lock from the outside. And I was
Interesting.
just like, this is a bit, it's going to take a special person to want to buy this house with that right there. Like, it's a little creepy.
No history ever, came up with that property or anything in the area.
No, no. So I don't know what they used that property for, but it was definitely my mind went to murder, but and then I didn't even go into the basement. It had a basement, and when people were coming to view the house for the open house, I typically don't go into basements. If I'm showing alone, I just stand at the top of the stairs and I say, go ahead if you guys want to take a look at the basement, but I'm not I'm not going down into the basement.
What
So
was what was the feedback from the people in that room?
So honestly, a lot of people didn't even go outside and look in that room. I think one or two couples actually did go out there and look at it. Um, and they didn't really give like, oh my God, but they were kind of like, this is an interesting house. Like, that's an interesting space back there. So,
Imagine someone buys a house, don't even walk into that room prior to they. Because I've noticed some people take a quick look at the house. They oh, I love the house, right? Next thing you know, they want to put an offer on it, but they really didn't dive into all the details in the house on the first walk around. So I always encourage walk into every place, right? Even a second showing. Let's go take a look. Because imagine you get the house and then you go back there and you're like, what the hell is going on here?
right? Like, super creepy. But like to be fair, there was no blood splatter on the walls or anything like that. Like it was clean, but it was very, very creepy, very eerily laid out. So
Oh, the cleaning part, I would assume is not a problem. If they have a room so meticulous place like that, I'm sure they have the chemicals to clean it up quite well. That's interesting. I haven't come across anything like that. The only thing I can think about, and this happened as a kid, not as a realtor. Um, Back in Puerto Rico, my neighbor passed away. He had a rocking chair, um, and he was always sitting there in the backyard, just enjoying the breeze, the trees. Right, we had a lake in the back that came across, and that's where I learned how to fish. Well, he passed away, and months after he had passed away, I'm in the evening there. Uh, I'm in the yard. I used to go lay there, just look at the stars. Uh, and one time, I see his ghost, his spirit, just in the rocking chair. And I was like, "Oh hell no!" It wasn't. I did not feel threatened. I was more shocked, surprised of actually seeing him there, and he kind of glanced over and looked at me, and I just ran inside the house. But I never felt any threat, and then I think I saw him again at another time, and he was more casual, more. Oh, he's just doing the same thing he was doing, just relaxing there, because his wife was still there. But that's kind of the only thing that happened to me so far, and in that sense. But as a realtor, I haven't come across any murder properties yet. But I'm curious if anyone's listening and want to share some stories, and I'm down. Let us know. We can happy to hear what they have gone through similar situations. Because paranormal activity is real. It's everywhere, right?
any spooky showings? That could be the theme for today's show: spooky showings.
Seriously, I'm curious. I'm curious to learn. No, here in Huntsville, actually, one of the first time I came to visit, but this is before I lived here. There's a park here. It's a Dead Children's Cemetery, I believe. Don't quote me on that. I believe that's the name. But we went to visit the first time, and you can see the swings moving by themselves. People who say that the stories that the children are still playing in the playground. So we went there one time, totally fine, right? I went and we went another time with my brother and his wife, and no kidding, she brought one of the kids back with her. We always say
Oh
one
my
of the spirits went back with her because she was starting to see things in her house. She started to feel things differently in her house, and we told her, "Hey, you got to take the kid back. You got to bring him back to the park." And sure enough, a few months later, it took her too long, right? She went back and to the park, to the cemetery, and that energy was off from her. Um, but things like that happen, and it happens quite often. But imagine you're showing a house and you're over there by yourself. I know you don't like being by yourself, but imagine as a realtor being on a property and all of a sudden things start happening in there. Some people might incline to cancel that open house for the day. Please come back at another time.
right? As weird as that house was, I didn't get a horrible, horrible feeling from it. So maybe it was used for something other than murder. It definitely looked creepy. And again, I always use precaution, always try to take safety measures. I didn't get like a horrible, horrible feeling from it. We go to Savannah a lot. I love Savannah. It's one of the most beautiful places, I think, in Georgia. One of the most haunted places because it's definitely a city built on the dead repeatedly. But I will say there's far more places in Savannah that felt way more like eerie or spooky than that house did. And I actually came across a house I was showing one of my clients who is also a friend of mine. We were looking at several houses, and there was one house, and this house just was an ordinary house, just looked like a cookie cutter house in a cookie cutter subdivision, no different than any other houses. But we went to the front door, and as soon as I opened the front door, just this god awful, horrible feeling just like came over me. And I didn't even want to go in the house. And so she went in, we walked in a little bit, and I was just like, this isn't the house. This isn't the house for you. Like, I'm just telling you right now, this is not the house. And she ended up not liking it anyways. So it worked out. But it's just interesting how the energy in that place was just so radiant that like, it just was like to my core felt like just awful.
That reminds me that actually did happen to me last year. Lady I was working with, uh, they did an excellent job at taking pictures on that property. Outstanding job. Look at the property on the pictures on the MLS everywhere. Incredible. Like nice open floor plan area. Good natural energy, nice and clean. And it's one of those things you show up to the property, a lot of trees outside, a lot of just the energy from the outside give you that eerie that there's something happening here. No kidding. The client walked into the property, walked into room, and my wife was there too, and they walk into two rooms and they just look at me like, this is not the property. This does not feel right for me. The air, the energy there just didn't feel right. And I told them I agree. Like it's just let's go. Overall, the land looked great, right? Bunch of trees, but the property itself, the energy there, it didn't feel right. And we just walked out, and she's like, "Let's go to the next one. This is certainly not it. The pictures is not what I saw in the picture. This is not it. It's a whole completely different house." But you feel that, right? And in the same capacity, you feel in the contrast when it's your house, when you like the property, you feel that energy. Like this is it. This just feels right, But yeah, you have some energy sometimes that you don't know what the hell happened there before, nor do I want to find out. Time to go.
Exactly. And being a real estate agent, have you noticed that in like almost every TV series, every show, it's always the real estate agents that die. They're always getting murdered, whether it's like Supernatural, Criminal Minds, like whatever TV show, Law and Order, like it's always the real estate agent. As soon as somebody comes on screen, they're like, "Oh, I'm a real estate agent." I'm like, "Damn it, they're gonna die."
We're the guinea pigs there. Hey, we do everything for our clients. They don't see it.
Well, I mean, you think about like our job is literally to meet strangers. We literally go meet strangers, and then we go into places where we're secluded from the outside world because we're going into like sometimes vacant buildings, empty houses. And there are so many tools and resources that agents really need to be taking advantage of to make sure that they are prioritizing their own safety. But I've seen time and time again agents not wanting to do these things because they don't want to make somebody else feel bad. Like there's so many little things. Like if somebody calls you up and says, "Hey, I want to look at a house," most agents here in Georgia have access to Forewarn, which is an app that you can use and you can search somebody by their cell phone number and you can see if they have a criminal record. Another thing is just asking them for a picture of their driver's license. And, somebody calls you up and says, "Hey, I want to go look at this house." You have no idea who this person is. It's common to be like, sure, no problem. Can, for my safety and yours, can you send me over a copy of your driver's license, just a screenshot of your driver's license? And if they're like, no, I'm not going to do that, then don't meet them.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's overlooked. The things that happen with real estate agents and showing properties, the incidents, the accidents that happen, uh, agents that go missing. Right? It's unfortunate, but scary. You never know who's the other person. When the law went into effect that you need to have a buyer's agreement in place in order to show a property. mm, the great thing about that is at least you had multiple conversations with that person, right? And you started to build that relationship, and you can look into those details a little bit down before you just, hey, I want to take a look at this house, let's go take a look at that house.
Yeah.
Years ago, so easy just for somebody to say, hey, let's go look at the house, let's do it. And you never know, like you said, you never know who's on that other side. Uh, it's crazy. It's really crazy. Not too long ago, it's not related to real estate, but I saw a video that the Interstate 40 goes across the U.S. Uh, has one of the highest serial killers traffic as truck drivers in history. Uh, and I was reading a story where this lady said, I forgot the name of the serial killer who was caught after that. She said she was actually pulled over to the side of the road, and this guy on a truck pulled over behind her to help her out, and it turned out that he was a serial killer. She didn't know it at the time, but in the same process, right after he pulled over, two people pulled over in a bike, two bike riders, to help her out, and the truck driver left. It wasn't until years later that he was caught, and she was really grateful. But on my way to California here, I rode that freeway multiple times, you know, and one of the times I was in a small car with my son and my dog, and we drove from California here, and it's one of those things. At night, all you see is truck drivers, 90 miles per hour, just going off and off, and small. You know how big I am, right? Imagine me and a Honda Fit, my 120 pounds dog, my son, and that little Fit loaded with his clothes to come over here. It was a very uncomfortable trip, but we made it happen. But it's those little details that you never know who's around you. You know, so many people pass by me on that freeway that I consider one of the greatest people. I don't know them, but given the research and the studies out there, some people might have gone by me, and it's a matter of something happens and who pulls over. And there were roads through there on that trip that I'm like, man, if something happens to our car, we are going to disappear. Nobody will ever know that we were on this road. Like, there was no lights for miles. There was nothing, no traffic. If something happened in my car, yeah, the whole car is missing and nobody will ever know. And as real estate agents, we go into properties like this, and you never know what happened in the properties. Um, and at the same time, you never know what the other person is capable of. So always take measures to be safe, because that's the first and the most important thing.
Very true. And it is true. You never, like, you're driving that road and nobody would know. Like, there's nobody around. You guys could disappear. Nobody would ever know. And that's the scary thing. The scary along that same lines is, it's so easy these days for somebody to stalk you and find your every move, with Instagram just making that new feature where it's kind of like Snapchat, where they have the map where you can see where everybody is, everybody checks in. If you're a real estate agent, I get that you want to check in places and post that you're here, post that you're there, have your visibility showing, but you're letting everybody know where you are, and that's not necessarily a good thing. Now,
Yeah.
it can be a good thing. I know you can turn your like your beacon on, and sometimes I do that. Like if I'm going somewhere, and I'll send my like tracking me so that like in my family net, like my boyfriend and the kids, they all can see like where where I'm at and if I arrived somewhere safely. But you don't want the whole world knowing where you're at all the time.
No, exactly. That's just putting you, making you an easy target for those people that are looking exactly for that. It's like you said, it's a good thing for some things, but it's really a bad thing for others because you never know who's watching, who's looking for that opportunity, and you might just giving them that opportunity because of that, of just putting your location live. They're like, oh shit, they're going by so and so. That's the perfect spot for me to be able to do this or that. It's just wide on the open now.
And as individuals, we're always like this. We're always with our face down in our phone, looking at our phone, not paying attention to what's going on around us, not paying attention to our surroundings, not being aware of our surroundings. We need to take more precautions and notice what's going on around us. Notice who's noticing us not paying attention.
That's something I always get, like when we were in Florida last week. We're at the table with some of us are having a drink. If I see everybody on the table having a drink, I would not have a drink. I'm, that's my conscious mind. If I'm with a group of people and everybody's having a drink, I am the one person not having a drink. No matter where I'm at, I could be at my house, you know. But if everybody that comes over is having a drink, I'm not having a drink. It's just I like to be that one person, always aware. Not saying that they're gonna have too many drinks, right? But at least somebody in the group hasn't had a drink in their system. So if something were to happen, I can step in, you know. And I just like to be aware of, everywhere I go, I'm always looking around. I sit at a restaurant, I'm paying attention. Every door, who comes in, who's walking around me. Sometimes I'm at a store, somebody walked too close by me. Sometimes I'm standing in line, and I hate when people behind you just they're right behind you, like right there. Come on, give me some space. If I were to move back, I'm bumping into them. Dude, respect the space. But it's those little things. Sometimes I make them uncomfortable because I turn around and I just face them. No, like, what the hell? I don't know. What, you're too close to me, bro. I don't know who the hell you are. I don't trust you. You're too close. Respect that.
And there's so many, like you hear all the time about people getting followed at the store, people getting followed at the gas stations, people asking for, help. I actually had that happen with me and my daughter at a gas station. A person came up and was like trying to talk to us, and it felt off. It felt not right, and it turned out to be, um, I think they were trying to get either information from us or just trying to like maybe steal the car. But my kids were in the car, so I think we handled that situation pretty well. And that was a couple of years ago, but everybody's always like, oh, it's not going to happen to me, or, you know, you can't live your life paranoid. And I agree, you can't live your life paranoid and scared of everything, but you also have to take precautions and you have to be aware because it's not, oh, it's never going to happen to me situation anymore because it's happening to everybody every day.
Yeah. It's look. I look at another example. When I worked in the warehouse, I had a number of drivers. Right. I knew exactly the route every day. Um, I knew the route they take. I knew the driver's tendency. I knew what they were supposed to do with each route. Uh, when something happened, they didn't even have to tell me like where they are. I already knew exactly where they were, how long it was going to take for the rest of the day to complete the route. I knew what else needed to be done, and I could have somebody else start addressing that ahead of time before we even, address the matter with the driver or so on. It's just a matter of being aware of what's happening to better react when something comes up. Just be prepared ahead of time.
Yeah.
And as a real estate agent, you have to be cautious of having a system to show property, right? I'm one of those that I set up certain patterns to remember step by step what needs to be done. So, like I said, if something happens, I know exactly how to react. So I look at all these different scenarios, and I have a reaction to that. I have a solution for those situations if they come up. So you have to be aware of what could happen in those situations and how you're going to react. Because a lot of people panic.
A lot of
A lot
people,
of
yeah, the
a
fight or
lot of
and
people
then they
panic, and
panic.
it's because they're not prepared. You know, you. I'm not saying you have to be prepared for every situation. That's it's hard to be prepared for every situation, especially for the unknown. But if you take measures to educate yourself and look at the different scenarios of what could happen when things like that happen, you're a little bit more prepared to react accordingly rather than just panic and do nothing about it.
Yeah.
And
And with, how we always say, don't be a secret agent, don't be a secret shower. Like if you have showings and you're showing people, you should have somebody that you're texting that knows exactly where you're going to be that day and exactly who you're going to be showing. So you should never just leave the house to go meet some random person and nobody know where you're going and nobody know that that's what's happening with you that day, whether you turn on your showing beacon and so that people can see where you're at, or whether you have a specific person that you text and you say, hey, these are the addresses I'm going to be at today, and this is a person that I'm going to be showing, this is their contact information. Just have a trusted person that you can give that information to and say, if I don't call you by this time, or I don't, check in, and not a text, because anybody can text from your phone. If I don't
mhm.
call you, if you don't hear my voice, you know that I'm not okay. Try to find out where I am, what's going on. Because in this day and age, you just have to make sure you're following them. So have somebody that knows where you're going. Don't go show in secret. Get a copy of their license. Make sure you have that information. And also, if you have access to Forewarn or some other background information, run them through a background check to make sure that you're not going to meet up with somebody with multiple criminal records or even just one criminal record. And again, just because they don't have a criminal record doesn't mean they didn't do anything. It just means they didn't get caught. So don't have this false sense of security that, oh, they're squeaky clean, I'm good. Maybe they're just really good at not getting caught.
Yeah, that is true. Serial killers, just to bring it up there, right? Oftentimes we see these, we see the shows, we see the movies. They go for so long doing certain things that the people next door never thought that they could do it. You know, people next door, the neighbors, their family. Oh, he was such a great person, such a great neighbor, always committed, always participating, and you never know. So yeah, take proper measures to take care of yourself and let people know exactly where you're at, especially when showing properties. Even if it's a call on every house, hey, just made it, looking good. Thanks. Talk to you later. You know, and that would probably scare somebody out who has intentions. You know, if somebody has intentions there and they see that you're checking in with somebody on every property, that's gonna throw them off and be like, okay, you know, this person is being looked into.
Yeah, it definitely, is going to make them think twice about doing something if that was their intention originally. So just take care of yourself. And there's no property, there's no showing, there's no closing that's worth risking your safety for.
Absolutely not. That's the first thing. If you're not there, ain't no more properties to show.
Exactly. To kind of circle back to what you said, when we first went live about you miss trick or treating, I still go trick or treating with my kids. My kids are all getting older now. They're all like teenagers, and some of them go to Halloween parties. Some of them want to go trick or treating with their friends. I have my 10-year-old who's my youngest, so I still have a few more years with her. But I think I will be so sad when I don't have the whole trick or treating experience anymore because my kids are all too old. Luckily, I have grandbabies now, so maybe I can tag along with them. But
Yeah, that's that's one way, right? But I also noticed how it has changed over the past few years, right? When my kids are 5 and 3, you still see a good crowd trick or treating, right? Now, like my street, nobody has any decorations. Uh, this whole like 2 blocks, nobody has any decorations up. So, and even the kids in some areas, trick or treating is not the same with so many bad intentions out there. People think about it twice. There's no longer that community, that happy environment of just having fun with it. You know, it's it's not everywhere as it used to.
I don't know if it was because I was younger or if it really was, but it felt like before when we were kids, trick or treating was like all night long. It was like 10 o'clock and kids are still trick or treating. And now it's like 7:45, 8 o'clock, and it's done. Trick or treating is over. And I was like, dang, they start at 6, they end by 8, and everybody's like, Halloween is by 9 o'clock, Halloween's over.
I think Halloween should have been one of those holidays where it should have been the last Saturday of the month, because in the middle of the week, kids have to go to school next day. You don't want to keep them up too late. You don't want to give them candy up too late, especially depending on the age of the kids. So it kind of limits them. Where on a Saturday, even the parents can have more fun with it as well. I know, yeah, last Saturday of the month. But yeah, it's I certainly seen that as well. Like when I was a kid, it was just all night type of thing. Now it's okay. We gotta cut it short, but 8 o'clock we're done.
Here, I was it last year or the year before? I think Halloween was like on a Wednesday, and I was like, "What the hell is this? Like, for real?" At least this year it's a Friday, so that's better. But like when it's in the middle of the week like that, that's just crap.
Right? It throws you off. You don't. It's not the same energy. No, it's one of those things. Should have been the last Friday or the last Saturday of the month, and people I think will have enjoy it more consistently. It's like Thanksgiving, right? The last Thursday of the month, and you normally get the Friday off. Allows you to fully enjoy and be intentional and be there with the family the whole week. You know, makes a difference.
It does. It does make a huge difference. But we hope that everybody has a happy and safe Halloween. Definitely make sure when you guys are out trick or treating with your kids, you're taking flashlights. If you have those little light up necklaces you can put on your kids, just make sure everything is safe. And also don't forget about your parent tax when it comes to the candy, so you can get all the Reese's peanut butter cups. That's what I tell my kids. I got to take that mom tax on that candy.
Yep. Oh hell yeah.
Right. We
I
need not
have to.
just candy. Make sure it's safe.
Yeah. They got to go through inspection. Let me take a look. I'll let you know which ones are good.
This pile right here, it's not good. Don't eat this pile. The rest of
Yeah.
it is good.
And you don't like this. By the way, you don't like that one? Yeah, I'll take care of that for you. Don't worry about it. I'll trade you for some.
My middle daughter used to call. Do you know what Sour Patch Kids are? You've seen that candy.
Yeah, I love those.
She used to call those spicy humans.
Uh spicy humans.
Yeah, because there was one Halloween where she's like, somebody ate all the spicy humans, and she kept asking for more spicy humans, and it took forever to figure out what it was she was. I'm like, what are you talking about? What are spicy humans? And then finally, we found out she meant Sour Patch Kids. But I mean, it makes sense. They are little tiny human figures, and to her, they were spicy. So
Nice. I like that name. Spicy humans.
little cannibalistic, but okay.
Spicy human. Let me go get some spicy humans. Nice. It's nice. I like it. That's unique. It's special. So man, we wrapped it up today quick with the 34 minutes so far in.
We did. And it looks like, I guess, as far as going live inside the communities, it's capped at 30 minutes because we were live in Cloud Connect and in our Real Talk communities, and it kicked us out. It said the session has ended. So I think it caps lives for 30 minutes.
Nice. So yeah, for those who are listening only, if you want to plug into the community and see the content that we're putting out there, go through our website, realtalkha.live, um, and join the community there. You'll get access to everything that we put in there, all the episodes. On top of that, um, you have the option to get a CRM. If you're in the business industry as a real estate agent or any other business, you can certainly take advantage of the CRM to be able to facilitate the communication with your content, with your clients, and be able to create so much more within that we can help you set up. So again, check it out at realtalkha.live and plug into the community. And also don't forget to subscribe. We're looking here to build and put more content out here and increase the following, and stay tuned for new episodes that we're putting on a weekly basis.
Yep. And I think that pretty much wraps it up for us today. Any last minute words of wisdoms or golden nuggets you want to drop on us, Andres?
If you have a story to share, I would love to hear it. I want to sit over here, be our guest. Let's talk. Let's hear it. Because what you have gone through might make a huge impact on somebody else's life. So we love to sit down and hear about it. So please go through the website, realtalkha.live, be our guest, sign up, fill up the application, reach out to us, and we'd love to have you on board. Again, with Halloween coming up, be safe out there, and we look forward to next Tuesday. We can touch base again.
Awesome. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe so you guys never miss an episode. And we will see you guys on